I'm Lori Brunner, and this is Module 12 Case Study for EDL 850, Spring of 2021. This is a report of a copyright case study. It involves St. Regis, a rural district serving students of grades K through 8, which is approximately 450 students. It requires 2 teachers in each grade level, also 2 SPED teachers in the school. So far, PTL has raised funds for computers and software. Some teachers have requested that Mrs. Lynn, the library media specialist, to copy the newly purchased software programs so that they may be distributed and installed on all the classroom computers. The requests of the CDs, the copying of the CDs, and the report of this issue has happened within the school during school hours. The individuals involved in this case are Mr. Keith Sample, the principal, Mrs. Lynn, again, the library media specialist. She's attempting to save money for the school district without looking at all the repercussions. Mrs. Williams is an experienced teacher who has always taught at St. Regis School and was delighted when she was going to receive a free copy of the copyrighted programs. She personally thanked Mrs. Lynn. Mrs. Brandon is a new teacher to the district, but she has 3 years of experience and was concerned when Mrs. Lynn had approached her, but she had expressed her concerns to Mrs. Lynn, but Mrs. Lynn didn't want to hear it. Mrs. Evans, who happens to be the PTA president, volunteered in the library, and she was helping to make the copies and was pleased that the district was stretching the PTA dollars to help all students and teachers. The remaining PTA has done major fundraising for the school, and they are not aware of the present situation. The remaining teachers in the building, though, are affected because they have also asked Mrs. Lynn to copy the software for their classroom. This is the report of the ethical or legal issues. The first point is the legal ramifications, the copyright laws. The second one with regard to legal is stealing a copyright document, whether it's paper, technology, digital. Also along that same premise of stealing copyright, it's ethical. And what about the relationships? In this case, Mrs. Brandon was concerned, but it seemed that Mrs. Lynn was just kind of her concerns aside. So the school personnel are asked to share the software. The synthesis of what's happening is the library media specialist, in this case Mrs. Lynn, is making copies of software for usage that is designated for one computer only. Section 4, to synthesize the facts. Well, we know this was St. Regis School District, that Mr. Sample is the principal, the library media specialist is Mrs. Lynn, teachers Mrs. Brandon, who is new, Mrs. Williams, who is tenured, PTA and president Mrs. Evans, the school board, plus the other teachers. This is in a rural setting. In my opinion, it could be any rural setting, Wisconsin, Illinois, Minnesota, any rural setting that has 420 students. Again, 2 teachers per grade and 2 SPED teachers in the building. The high school students are bused to a school district that is 25 miles away. So this is a low budget school district and it heavily relies on PTA funding. This is review and prioritize the information, section 5. The principal was not aware of teachers asking for a single-use software to be copied for others to share in the school. The PTA president was aware and volunteered to help. One teacher was happy to use it, but another felt it was not legal or ethical to do so. And according to the Educator's Guide to Creativity and Copyright, copyright allows the writer, the artist, and the creator to control who may make copies, how the work is distributed, when and how the work may be distributed or performed, and if a derivative work, like a spin-off, may be made using parts of the original. Who are the stakeholders in this? Very much the whole school district is a stakeholder. They purchased one copy for a single computer. If they are found in violation of the copyright laws, the whole entire school district is in jeopardy of repercussions. Can I learn about this situation? Yes. Being an educator, there are many tools that are brought to us in the school. whether it's through teacher pay teacher, whether it's through curriculum, whether it's through a CD, we can learn what the proper way of handling these tools are. And we should know. Do I know enough to make a decision? I believe I do know enough to make the decision. It was explained that Mrs. Lynn knew that this was copyright material. She was trying to stretch the school district's budget by making these copies. Section 6 is to identify options and possible consequences. Well, the first one would be no action at all. Whether the principal did no action, the school board, the PTA, whether none of them did an action, that would be an option. Another option would be to stop all copying and to destroy the extra copies that are already made, because there needs to be accountability. Another option would be to purchase the license to have the program networked within the school system. Another option would be to talk to all staff with regard to making copies of copyrighted works. We all know that it's not right to copy something that isn't legally ours. Another option would be to conduct a professional development session with a guest speaker, maybe have a lawyer or a judge to come in that specifically deals with copyright issues, and then make sure to discuss the consequences of what will happen if they continue this practice. And another option would be to discipline the library media specialist. Section 7 is to evaluate the options. Well, again, stop all copying and destroy extra copies. There would be no cost to this other than the CDs that Mrs. Lynn purchased to make the copies. Talk with all staff with regards in making copies of copyrighted works. Again, no cost. Conduct a professional development session with a guest speaker. There might be a small fee to have the lawyer or the judge come in to speak, or maybe not at all. But they need to discuss what the consequences of this practice of copying copyrighted works would be. The school board should be aware of this issue. Just in case, what if it comes back and they're not aware of the issue that's happening? They need to be aware. And the school lawyer or a lawyer should be consulted for what could possibly happen. And finally, the discipline to library media specialist needs to be a reprimand that is put on file in her personnel record. I think when you do that, you let the employee know that, hey, they're under surveillance, that if this happens again, you could be fired. And it's just kind of a warning when you get a disciplinary action in your file. What's the best option? I don't think there is any one best option. I think you have to put it together as a package, because you can't do one without the other. So the first one being destroy all the copies of the software. Collect them, because that's in violation of the copyright law. Then the library media specialist needs to be reprimanded. Again, the written reprimand in her file. Then the professional development should be done, and it doesn't need to be a long drawn out process. It could be a half an hour just to pass out the information in reference to copyright issues and to review it. And it should be reviewed on a yearly basis to make sure that new teachers are incorporated into knowing what copyright laws they need to follow. Have all stakeholders been consulted? I believe at this point, if you include your school board, your superintendent, your principal, your teachers, everyone involved is being consulted. Have I identified a creative option? Creative is in the eye of the beholder. I think that as educators, we have to be very systematic and problematic. And so I think what I have come up with would be a very creative solution. So to implement this, the first thing to do would be to reprimand the library media specialist. Make sure to document the incident and file it in her personnel file. And then she would be responsible for destroying all the copies that were made. The second part would be the professional development. As I stated before, this could be a short session explaining the repercussions of copying material that is made for one-time usage, and have everyone sign a statement agreeing to comply with these rules. It's stipulated in most school boards' policies, stipulated in teacher and student handbooks, and so it could be detailed very well in those documents. Thank you for watching my video.